What's up guys, welcome to your 139th Android tutorial for the new Boston. What we're going to do in this tutorial is we're actually going to start setting up our first button, which is going to be placing a pinpoint. And how we're going to do that is we're going to create a new class that's going to kind of be passed in the drawable item that we're actually going to draw to our map or our pinpoint, you can think of it as, and handle it within that class. So we're going to create a new class and we're going to call this custom pinpoint or something of the sort, whatever you guys want to call this. Hit enter, and what this is going to extend is something called an itemized overlay, because again we're drawing some kind of item, itemized object or drawable to our overlay. So it's going to be an itemized overlay, and it's going to be of the type overlay item. So we're going to say overlay item, and we're just going to hit Command Shift I to add Command Shift O to add our imports. And as you can see, our custom pinpoint class is getting some errors because we need a constructor. So we're going to just say add constructor, and we're also going to hover over and add the unimplemented methods, overlay item, create item, and the size. So now what this first constructor is, what we want it to do is basically center our drawable. We're going to draw like a target or something like that, and we want the center of our bitmap or a drawable item that's being passed in to align to where we actually want to place the pinpoint. So what we're going to do is, on this super method, we're going to say bound center, and then we're going to add a parentheses here, and again around our default item that's being passed in, which is a drawable. So again, all that's going to do is take our drawable item, find the center of that drawable, and bound it to the center of our, bound the point to the center of our drawable, and that's where it's going to kind of pinpoint on our map. Now what we want to do is we want to add some items that we can refer to, or instance of classes that we can refer to within this class. So what we want to do is we want to say private array list of the type overlay item. We're going to call this map items, or pinpoints, and we're going to set this equal to new array list of the type overlay, and then open parentheses, close parentheses, and we're done. Again, we just hit Control Shift O, and and this is supposed to be overlay items, or overlay item I should say, and there we go. We have our import set up, and we aren't, obviously this isn't set to anything yet, it's just a new array list. And what we're also going to add is a context, so private context, can't spell, and we're just going to call this C, maybe something like that. Again, we just have to import context. Now what we want to do is we want to create a constructor again that is going to refer to a drawable and a context, so we can pass in the context, work with the class that we're getting, and setting that up. I'm going to hit Control C to copy and then just paste below. Again, this is just another constructor. This time what we're going to do is we're just going to refer to this as drawable M for marker, and also a context. We're going to call that C as well, or whatever you guys want to refer to that as. And what we want this constructor to do is basically create this context equal to the context that's being passed in. So basically now we just have to relate our drawable and our context. So what we're first going to do is just say this, we're going to call this within the parentheses M, which again is our drawable item that's being passed in. And then what we also want to do is we want to relate this context that we set up here to the context that's being passed in. So I changed, I don't know, I kind of clipped the video, but this was C, just change that to context, so it's a little bit more simple to work with down here. And all we're going to do is set our C, which is our variable for this class, a private variable. We're going to set that equal to the context that's being passed in, which we called context. So that's all that constructor is doing. Now we can relate to this, and it's still the same context that's being passed in through this constructor. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial, guys. In the next tutorial, we'll finish this class called Custom Pinpoint, because again, we have this array list that's basically not set to equal to anything. There's no way that we can insert into this array list, so we're going to create a method that's going to insert. We're also going to change some of these return methods in that tutorial. So we're basically to get that finished up. Again, all we created was a custom pinpoint class that uses ItemizedOverlay that we're going to refer to our drawable that's being passed in, and then we're going to draw that to an overlay. And we have two constructors, again, one that just handles a drawable being passed in. All that's going to do is bound the center of the drawable item, so we're going to pinpoint through the center on the place that we touch on our map, and that's how it's going to align for the most part, right in the center of our drawable item. And then we also have a constructor that handles our drawable item and a context, so just the the marker is going to be the same, and our context we're going to set equal to the context that's being passed in, so we don't really have to worry about getting mixed up and using the context of this class and all that good stuff. So that's basically our constructors and the setup of this class. See you guys in the next one. Have a good